So I'm leaving Australia, and in this video, I want to give my thought process behind me making the move. Yesterday on my Instagram, so if we actually go to my Instagram here, by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you do. It is at itskybax. But yesterday on Instagram, if we come to my story here, you would have seen, if you already follow me, that I posted this or I shared this post made by The Guardian Australia, and I put this pretty heated comment. Now I will say it was in the heat of the moment, and it was probably a little bit over the top. Maybe shouldn't have said what I did, but whatever, right? I said Australia is becoming a prison, being held against our will, trapped. How the stupid low-life scumbags in our useless government are getting away with this, I'll never know. By far the worst government on earth, never come to Australia, and everyone who's here, I recommend to fight and scream to get out. Maybe it's a little over the top. It's probably not the smartest comment I could have said, but what, you know, I said it, okay? And so why I shared this post was simply because of the new idea that Australia is trying to push. How this is going to play out in the long term, I don't know, because it's already receiving a bunch of backlash. But this just goes to show where Australia's mind and head is at almost with regards to what's going on in the world right now. And so let me just get to the point and read through this post, right? Border ban. Australians who live overseas will not be permitted to leave Australia if they return for a visit. Let that sink in for a minute. Australians who live overseas will not be permitted to leave Australia if they return back to Australia for a visit. So somebody lives in the UK and they're an Australian and they return back to Australia for a visit, they are not permitted to leave to go back to their quote unquote home country of where they live. They're not permitted to leave. By the way, this is somebody who is not a criminal. They've done nothing wrong, but they are not permitted to leave the country if they return for a visit. As it says here, Australian citizens and permanent residents are currently banned from leaving Australia, but prior to August 1st, Australians living overseas who visited were automatically allowed to leave, right? The Morrison government quietly expanded the border ban in a move experts say could be constitutionally invalid and unfairly affect Australians from multicultural backgrounds. So as I say, it's already getting a bunch of backlash, right? This is a quote by Professor Kim Rubenstein, right? They've made it even more draconian than it was at the beginning, meaning that, they've made it even more severe now, right, than it was at the beginning. No matter where you are from in the world, if you land here, you could be trapped. No matter where you're from in the world, if you land here, you could be trapped, right? Australia is a multicultural society. You are severely impacting the lives of people who have families abroad who want to be able to connect with and spend time with their families in a safe way. And another kind of a statistic of Australia is 49% of Australians were born overseas or have at least one parent who was born overseas. So this is going to be a decision that they're trying to, this is a decision that they're trying to push, and they're saying that it's going to be effective from August 11th. So it sounds like it's already, on the go ahead, where near enough 50% of Australians are going to be affected because they have family overseas, right? And they are trapped. As it says here in the caption here, on August 1st, the Health Minister Greg Hunt amended the legislative instrument that created the overseas travel ban to remove the exemption that allowed Australians who live overseas to leave the country automatically. Effective from August 11th, even Australian citizens who are ordinarily resident in another country will have to apply for an exemption to leave the country and could be denied. So now what Australia are trying to do is they're trying to imprison everybody who lives here, essentially, right? And so if we now go to this website here, it is just whatever it is, right? The Australian government, right? And we come down to this section down here. Previously, if we check out the automatic exemptions, it says you are exempt from travel restrictions and can leave Australia without applying for an exemption if you are ordinarily resident in a country other than Australia until 11th of August 2021, right? And then there's a bunch of other things here that apply for qualify for an automatic exemption, right? And then even worse, if we come up to this section here where it says travel for 3 months or longer, right? If you are seeking exemption from Australia's outbound travel restrictions on the basis that you are leaving Australia for 3 months or longer, your proposed travel must be for a compelling reason and you must provide evidence to support your claims. Must be for a compelling reason. Who decides if the reason's compelling enough or not? Who decides that, right? Who decides that? It's going to be the people, you know, up above, right? And so what they're now, as I say, what they're trying to now push is the fact that, you know, if you come here, you are at the mercy, if you're allowed out of the country or not, you're at the mercy of what these other people say. So if you come here, you're essentially trapped unless you get an exemption that could be denied. That could be denied. And so, you know, when I seen this and you know, Australia is meant to be this amazing place. It's meant to be this beautiful place. You know, at one point it was seen to be the best place to be over the past like year and a half. And now they're going this other way. And now they're starting to trap Australians inside of Australia. They're starting to imprison people here. And it may not even be Australians. As I say, you know, if you come here for a holiday and you're trying to get back to your home country, you may not be able to leave Australia. It is unbelievable what is happening. And so that is one of the biggest reasons as to why I'm leaving. And I wanted to give some context because, as I say, you know, the comment I made yesterday on my Instagram, yeah, it was a little bit harsh. It was a little bit rough, but, you know, I got quite a few people messaging me about it. And I wanted to explain why I'm leaving. I just don't agree with where this country is going and how it's currently being run. I deeply disagree with it. The other thing that I deeply disagree with is the fact that they're saying that they're not making the jab mandatory. They are, right? They're not technically making it mandatory by saying the jab is mandatory, but they're implying it. For example, the hospitals now are sending out these forms to all of their employees, right? All of their employees at the hospital are now receiving these forms that have a multiple choice question on there, right? And the multiple choice, like the little questionnaire that it has is, there's like, I think it's like 4 or 5 options. Number 1 is, have you had the jab? Right? That was the first option. The second option was like, I don't have the jab, but I'm going to be getting it. And then the third option was something along the lines of, I don't have the jab and I'm not going to be getting it, right? Or like, I'm not opposed to the idea of getting it. And then the fourth option was, I don't have the jab and I will not be getting it, right? And next to that last option where it says, I don't have the jab and I'm not going to be getting it, there's a bit of subtext there. And the subtext stated, that's a tongue twister, right? The subtext stated that if you opt for this option of you don't have it now and you're not going to be getting it, then you are going to be subject to redeployment. And that basically means that they're going to move them out of the position that they're currently in into a different position. Now, this is where the mandatory aspect comes into play, because what they'll do, and the reason this is rolling out to the hospitals first is because obviously that's like the epicenter, right? That's where sick people go. That's where babies are born. That's where, you know, people who are injured or whatever go. And so, you know, like that, they're like most likely to get it, right? And most likely to pass it on to newborns or whatever it may be. And so what that basically means is if they're subject to redeployment, then what will then happen is they'll put them, right? The whoever will put the employees into a place that they hate to work. Right? This is what will happen. Put them into a place that they hate to work. Then from there, what do you think the employee is going to do? They hate working there now because they've changed job roles. They've been shoved in somewhere that they don't want to be. And then what they will do is they'll resign. Right? So technically they're not making it mandatory because technically you have a choice, but really you don't, because you're being forced to go to this other area which you'll absolutely hate, and the people know that you'll hate it, and then they'll know that you will resign, and so then you won't have a job. And it's the same thing. So it started in the hospitals, but this is going to get pushed out to all workplaces without a doubt. This is where Australia is going, and that is the reason that I'm leaving. The other thing is you know, again, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably know that I am moving out to Dubai. Right? And everybody's initial like take on it was the fact that, oh, you're just moving out there because it's 0% tax. And yes, that is obviously a huge benefit. But I've been in Australia. I've only been, you know, making good money for the past like year, 2 years ish, right? Depending on what you determine as good money. I still don't think, to be honest, personally, that I'm making good money just because of where I want to go, but whatever, right? And I've been paying taxes and I've not had an issue with it, right? But now I do have an issue with it because now I'm paying multiple 6 figures a year in taxes to a government that is trying to trap its citizens in Australia. They're stripping our freedom away. We're at the mercy of what they say that we can do. If they say we are going to a lockdown, we have to go into a lockdown and we have to abide by the rules, right? And now, as I say, yesterday this rolled out. I got sent it by somebody, and now, as I say, they're trying to trap their citizens. And it's like they're trying to just imprison us. What? And they still want me to pay multiple 6 figures a year to them for keeping me hostage, pretty much, right? If we really look at what's going on here, they're holding us against our will. If that isn't imprisonment, if that isn't kind of like a hostage, I don't really know what is, right? I think that is literally the definition of it. And so, yeah, that is why I am leaving Australia, and that's my thoughts on it. I think I don't think everybody is 100%, entitled to their own opinion, and I completely respect everybody's opinion. I would love to hear your opinion in the comment section. If you agree with me, hit thumbs up on the video. If you disagree with me, hit thumbs down on the video. I think this is gonna generate a lot of controversy, but this is just my thoughts, and I think I should speak up about it because I am not happy with how Australia is coping with it. The fact, as I say, that they're now going down the route of making things mandatory, getting the jab. They say that they're not making it mandatory. Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia, came out the other day or whatever with a statement saying that it's not mandatory, but they're pretty much indirectly forcing you to take it. Indirectly. Without saying it's mandatory, they're putting other things in place which essentially force you to take it, right? Everybody needs a job. And so, everybody needs a job, and everybody really needs to be happy at their job. They need to enjoy what they're doing. They need to find fulfillment in what they're doing for them to live a happy life. And if that means that, if they are not taking the jab means that they're not going to be happy, be fulfilled, they're kind of indirectly forced to take the jab. Otherwise, they're not going to have a job, right? So, I mean, it's a very indirect way of doing it. It's also a very, very, very sly way of doing it. And I just think it's horrific. And as I say, this trapping people in Australia now, I think is horrific to a different level. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I probably will lose a bunch of subscribers from this video. Maybe a lot of people don't agree with me. Maybe a lot of people, think I'm, young and naive, but that's my thought process, and that is why I am leaving Australia. So as I said before, if you agree with me, like the video. If you disagree with me, dislike the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. With that being said, I will see you in the next one.